Hello y'all, and welcome to YoungFolk Knits. Today I'm going to chat all about my 2025 plans. Hello y'all, and welcome back to YoungFolk Knits. If you're new here, my name is Casey, and on this channel I love to share all about fiber arts. There's lots of knitting, spinning, sewing, crochet, and whatever else we might be getting up to. I also occasionally share about living on a small farm here in Arkansas, so if any of that sounds like it might be your cup of tea, make sure and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future video content. You can also find me on Instagram at YoungFolk.knits and on Ravelry at YoungFolkKnits. I can't believe that it is 2025 already. Time has absolutely flown, and I really have been thinking a lot about what it is I want to accomplish this next year. And I'm not going to think too far ahead because if you're not new here, you'll know my plans frequently change. I do have a plan though of things I want to make. Some of these are for specifically the winter of 2025, which is happening now. And some of these are going to be long-term plans that I might start now, but it would be a project that I can't necessarily commit the time to finish. And it might be more of a background project that I plan on knitting on throughout the year of 2025. I also have some sewing plans. So I'm really excited to share these projects that I have yarn for, I have fabric for, and I'm really looking forward to working on. One of my absolute favorite things from 2025 was my maker's notebook. I did a really good job of chronicling all of my makes in here. Every time I cast something on, I did put it in here, and every time I cast it off, I did try to mark that I had completed it. So this was a lovely tool that I was able to use this year. This was gifted to me from my friend Sophia, who is the owner of Making Treasures, and I loved it so much that I knew for sure I wanted to use another one this year, so I actually purchased another one in black. She has lots of different new colors, so I picked out the black one. Again, this is the Maker's Notebook, so I cannot wait to start writing down all of my plans at the beginning of the notebook and some of my new cast-ons. Now, some of these are projects that are carrying over. There's a lot of things for 2025 that I want to finish, and that's a goal that I have, finishing a few different things that I have started. I also have some exciting news, like a new Kal that's going to be starting soon. So this past year in 2024, at the last, I think it went from September through the last day of 2024, we had the YFK Mosaic Mayhem knit along, and that included patterns that were mosaic, slip stitch, anything of the kind was eligible. You did not have to complete a project, and it was just a fun mosaic themed knit along. So I am going through, there's going to be multiple winners. As long as you participated, you're eligible to win a prize. There's going to be quite a few gift cards that I'm going to send out for winners, and then there's also a yarn package. So I'm going to announce some of those on Instagram, and some of them I'm going to put in the thread on Ravelry, but I'm very excited about that. It was so much fun. There were a lot of participants, and I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. It really was. Which leads me to a very exciting announcement, and that is a Kal, which is going to be starting January 15th. I'm so looking forward to this because I'm going to be co-hosting it with Rachel and Jessica from Those Twins Who Knit. Super fun podcast. If you haven't seen it, I will link it in the description below. So these sisters knit absolutely beautiful projects, very aesthetically pleasing. I find that I love everything that they knit. They knit a lot of Scandinavian patterns, and I feel like they really know their style and they stick with it, and it works for them. I love it. I love everything they make. They each put their own unique spin on the style though, so I like it a lot. Their color choices are very classic. The patterns they choose are very classic, and I had a lot of fun chatting with them, and we picked out a sweater we all went to knit, and it is the Stornoway Sweater by Cheryl from Coco Amore Knits. It is a really fun, classic drop shoulder pattern, worsted weight. It's got texture, it's got stripes, but it's got that very classic clean line to it. So I think it would look good on everybody, and I think it would be a lot of fun to knit up this winter. So we're gonna start January 15th, and it is going to run through March 15th. So you'll have plenty of time to finish up your sweaters. If you want to participate, you don't have to finish. All you need to do is just cast on, or whips are welcome if you've already been working on one. Jessica and Rachel each have chosen different colors as well, and I'm very excited. Let me show you what I have chosen for my colors. This past year, I really enjoyed being an affiliate for Sewrella. I think that Ashley has this great vision for their yarn and their colors, and I am really drawn to the colors that they do every year. And I was so happy whenever I found out I got to continue that partnership with Sewrella, and they very kindly sent me the yarn that I picked out for the Stornoway sweater. So I'm using their classic worsted base, and this is their 100% merino wool. It's 218 yards for 100 grams, and I chose two colors from their winter palette, which is available right now. This one is Breckenridge. I think it's so classic, and this one is après-ski. So it's a really lovely blue, but it's not really navy. It has more of a really pretty dusky color blue to it, and I think it looks really nice and pairs really nicely with this oatmeal color. I was talking to Jessica and Rachel when I was trying to decide on my colors, and there was one color which was a little bit more of a cream color, just your classic milky cream, and the girls mentioned that it would maybe be a little bit too on the nose for sailor stripe colors, and I agreed. I think that this pairing is a little bit more modern chic, and I like it. I think it's gonna work really well together. It's extremely soft, it's so smooth, there's just zero itch whatsoever. So I'm going to cake this up and get ready to cast on January 15th. If you want to knit along with us, as I said, whips are welcome. We will start a Ravelry thread, and if you want to participate on Instagram, use the hashtag Stornoway Sweater Squad. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Join our sweater squad, knit the Stornoway with us. My next project is actually a carryover from 2024, and it is from the Lina Magazine Special Edition Nordic Knits. And I am knitting the cover picture, which is this lovely vest, the Nordic Bloom vest. This was a pattern designed by Caitlin Hunter from Boyland Knitworks, and I think it's so beautiful. It's an air and weight color work gauge, and it's actually steeped. So I am actually using the called for yarn, which was used in the sample, and it's Rauma Vams Garn. So I was really interested in knitting a sweater with this past year, and I asked for your opinion because I had never felt it. I wanted to know if it was itchy, if it was something I could handle. What was it comparable to? I was worried that it might be similar to Istex, the Lopi. I cannot do that. It's too scratchy for me. And so whenever this pattern came out, I thought actually that would be perfect. A vest is a little bit less of a commitment. I would absolutely be wearing it over something, so the itch factor would not be that important, and I thought it would be the perfect chance to try it out. So I did order enough yarn, and I chose the Forest Floor Moss for my main color. This is a worsted air and weight. I would say it's an air and weight gauge. It says that you can expect to achieve a 16 to 14 stitch gauge, and I would say that's pretty accurate. Surprisingly, it is softer than I thought it would be. Is this soft? No. I would say it's very similar to Peer Gynt. Peer Gynt might be slightly softer, but this is, I'm pleasantly surprised by this. I'm gonna wait until I finish the vest and actually wear it before I would buy a sweater quantity of it and use it in a full sweater that would be worn around my neck and be touching my chest, which is where I get very itchy. So I'm gonna wait. I have a feeling that after blocking and wear, this actually will soften up quite nicely. So I do have plans to work on that vest this winter. Next up, I have actually been working on a test knit, which is for Alicia Plummer, and it is for a cardigan, which is knit in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. I really love Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. It's such a pleasure to knit with. It's such a pleasure to wear. I am using the color Cast Iron, which is a really fun dark gray black color with some beautiful speckling in it. It definitely reminds me of a cast iron skillet. And I am testing this along with Jelena from Jelena Sue on Instagram, and we are both using, we both picked the exact same color. We even picked the same buttons we ordered from Holland Hoof store, and I think it's just gonna be so cute. She's almost done with hers. Alicia knew before I ever started that I would not meet the deadline for this, but I do have plans to finish it soon, and I am enjoying knitting it. So this is gonna be a really fun cardigan to have. Next up is a sweater that I'm knitting as a gift. So this past year I knit the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit. It is one of my favorites, and I used Double Sunday from Sandnes Garn. I truly loved the yarn, and I loved the color Marzipan, and I had actually 2 skeins left over. So I'm going to be using that to knit an Ingrid sweater baby by Petite Knit. This is going to be for a dear friend of mine who is having her first baby. She was actually a bridesmaid in my wedding. She was a very, very good friend of mine. She threw the baby shower for me when I had my first baby, and sadly she has moved far away and lives in Florida on the ocean, and so I don't get to see her hardly ever. And I really was worried about knitting something since she lives right on the ocean, but this is such a nice lightweight yarn, and I think that even for pictures it would just be really cute. And it actually does get kind of cold you know, a couple months of the year, especially like in February. The baby is due in February, and I think this would be really lovely. I'm gonna add a few other things in there that's not knitwear related, but I wanted to knit a few stitches for this sweet little bundle, so I'm excited to do that. This last year I attempted to knit my husband an all over cabled cardigan, and I just did not finish it. It was a huge commitment, and I think that part of the reason I failed in completing the project is because I have so much going on constantly that it was a little bit too much of a commitment. It's knit flat. It's a very involved knit, and I think that just mentally it kept feeling like it was a little bit too much. So I do want to finish it, but I have not. It was the Porter cardigan. And so I have set myself a different goal, and I wanted to make it a little bit more achievable because I do want to knit my husband a sweater this year. So if I can't complete the Porter just yet, it might be something that has to be put off for another year. I have decided I would like to knit the Ingrid sweater man for him. And when looking for some yarn, I wanted to knit something woolly. I wanted to have some nice stitch definition. I want it to be a nice quality wool natural fiber sweater for him. I will take care of washing it. And I did not want it to be too itchy. So actually, Rachel and Jessica have used the Blue Sky Fibers Woolstok Worsted, and so has Anna from Brook Willow, and they all really like it. So I was able to ask their opinion about the softness, the itch factor, the quality of the yarn, because I've never seen it in person, and I was not quite sure. It's Peruvian wool, so while I knew that would be fine for me, I wasn't sure how well it would work for my husband. I have to tell y'all, I love this. It's so soft. It is incredible. And I think that the price point is amazing. You can get 150 gram balls of this, or skeins of this, which has 370 yards. And I believe those are around $20. So that really helped make the sweater a little bit more accessible price-wise as well, while using some nice yarn. So I got the color Driftwood, and I am going to work on this throughout the year. My goal is not to have it finished before this winter ends, but instead to have it ready to wear at the end of fall, beginning of winter, throughout the year. So that gives me like 9 months to finish this, so I think I can do it. Next up on my list is a new cast on, which I am very excited to do, and that is going to be a fun little friend knit I'm making with Mega from Skeins of Dreams. So she actually very kindly gifted me this Gilliat yarn, which I have never used before. I had never seen in person, I never touched it, and I have just really been dying to use it. She has a sweater quantity in a different color, and we decided we wanted to knit a sweater together using the same yarn. So she's going to be using this super fun purple blue color, and I am using the Poivre Blanc, but I'll put the name on the screen. I can't find it on the label now. I think it's hidden inside the ball. But this is a really lovely worsted weight yarn. It's just a true worsted weight in my opinion. And it is a 100% wool. It's just very soft. It's very lovely. It's springy. I think it's going to be an absolute joy to work with. And we had at first thought we were going to make this series sweater solo, which is by Lene Home Samsu, but we're having some gauge issues. It is a 15 stitch gauge, maybe. Anyway, we may have needed to perhaps use this with a strand of mohair. I cannot use mohair. So we have switched to the Dagmar Jacket, which is a pattern by Petite Knit, and it is an 18 stitch gauge. We are casting this on today. So whenever I finish up filming, I'm actually going to get my needles out and cast on so we can both start on the same day. And this will possibly be a background knit that might take me until next fall to finish, and that's okay. I'm not in any hurry. We're casting on at the beginning of this year, and our goal is to have it finished before the end of the year. So I'm very excited for this one. Another knit I am really looking forward to, in fact I plan on casting on very shortly, is the Quilty cabin socks. So in October's update I was able to, or was it November? I think it was October. I was able to grab this Ovis sock set, which was actually dyed up and put together by Wool & Twine. It's Wool & Twine's lovely yarn. So this is a 50% Cheviot, 50% Jacobs yarn. There's no nylon in it. And I am a little bit skeptical, honestly, about how well nylon-free sock yarn holds up, but it is a pleasure to knit with. I have some Ovis sock yarn that I've already started socks with. Of course I haven't finished them, but it is a real joy and pleasure to knit with this yarn. It is my current favorite sock yarn to knit with, and I love it enough that even if I do get holes in it, I think it will be worth it to mend it, perhaps even mend the holes with a nylon yarn. And I think that will be okay, because I truly love knitting with this yarn. I like the way it feels. It feels very soft for a non-soft wool. I don't think that Cheviot or Jacobs is a soft wool at all in my opinion, and yet this is very lovely. And perhaps it's because it has a nice tight spin on it, but I am a huge fan of this yarn, and I have a few different sock sets in different colors, and I'm very excited to cast on the Quilty Cabin socks. I think quite a few people I know are going to be casting on those socks as well, so maybe I'll actually finish them. Another fun project I am looking forward to is again knit with Double Sunday from Sandnes Garn. It is one of my favorite yarns. I truly love it. I think it's a great price point. It's a lovely 100% merino yarn. It's non-superwash. It's just a great yarn. And I have cast on the Weekend Hat, which is a pattern by Hiromi Nagasawa, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. And while it has this really fun 2x1 ribbing, so it's a 3-stitch ribbing repeat, you then can choose to either do a single brim or a folded brim. I am doing a folded brim, and you'll do a short row to actually turn it so that this will end up being folded up and on the outside, and the outside will have been what you were working on the inside. Wow, that made no sense. Anyway, you do a short row so that it can be folded, and this will become inside so that you can fold it up. And then there are some very basic cables which are worked all over the hat. This is a great yarn to work cables with. It feels wonderful in your hands. It's just so lovely. I work cables without a cable needle, and I don't have problems with it slipping. Now, this is a slick yarn for a non-superwash, but I think that it just works really, really well. I'm loving knitting it in this red color from Sandnes Garn. It is the color red, and I would say that it is a very true red. Now, I usually lean towards an orange color in the red because I find that it suits my face a little bit better. The color of my skin tone does better with an orangey red, but this one isn't too blue. It is a very true lipstick red in my opinion, so it does have a bit of a blue in it, but it also is able to maintain the red without becoming pink at all. So because of that, I definitely, in my mind, I think of this as a true red. Hopefully it'll look okay. Another project I would really like to get to, I'm not sure how soon I'm going to be able to, it is the Plumpy shawl by Andrea Mowry. And Erin from Coast to Coast Yarn Co. is actually hosting a Plumpy knit along. So she picked out some colors for me, and I ordered them from her shop. These are all sport weight yarns, which I think the pattern maybe calls for DK, but I will have no problem getting engaged with a sport weight. This is the Biscuits color on Alpaca Sport. This is the Button color, which is like the most classic cream color ever. In fact, it's the perfect cream to me because it's not super yellow. I love this base. I love this color. And it is the Alpaca Sport as well. And then last up, also on Alpaca Sport, is Pigeon Milk. So I've got these 3 neutrals, and I think Erin is using the same colors. It's very kind of her to find them for me so I could order them. And I would like to cast that shawl on. I think it would be a beautiful light creamy basics that I could wear even in the spring. So I'm excited to work on that. Okay, the last knitting project I want to share with you is one from the book Memory Lane. This is a book written by Claudia Quintanilla, and she makes absolutely beautiful patterns. So she also owns the store You Knit in Toronto, and this was very kindly gifted to me. Now, I'm sure you all probably watch Knitting Traditions, and Inga is making this as well, so we're excited to match. But this is the Olympia sweater. So it is actually held in the sample with 2 yarns, a mohair yarn and I think that it's actually held with 2 strands of mohair in the sample. I am unable to use mohair, so for my sample, I am holding 2 yarns together, and one of them is this yarn that I got last year from Craft Me Not Yarn Co., and it is an extra fine Surrey. So while many of the Surrey bases that have the Surrey along with the silk core tend to be more of a fingering weight than a lace weight yarn. This is extra fine, so it has 437 yards per 50 grams. So this is much closer to a mohair weight. And I am holding that with Ito silk yarn. So it is the Ito 100% silk. And it's either a fingering or lace weight, I can't remember, but I am actually holding these two yarns together. So I am actually currently working on that. It's a top-down raglan sweater, and it has a few short rows in the back, but what's really special about this is that the neckband you work folded over, and then you insert a ribbon in the back, and it ties at the back of the neck, which I think is such a beautiful and elegant little touch. So I am using a scarlet red ribbon, velvet ribbon, for the back of my Olympia sweater. And I think that's gonna be really lovely, especially hopefully to finish it up by this spring. And I am doing 3/4 length sleeves, and mine is going to be a little bit more cropped as well. So I think it's going to be a really nice special occasion sweater, I would call it. That's all the knitting projects I'm hoping to accomplish. I'm sure that some things will change, and as I mentioned, some of these are not to be finished in the next few months, but instead just hopefully to be finished before the end of the year. I also have a few sewing plans, and one of them is going to be some fun Pomona pants that I'm going to be making with this fabric from Blackbird Fabrics, which actually got on sale, and it is a 100% cotton flannel. So this is the peat and shale colorway, and I am really looking forward to cutting out the Pomona pants. They have been my go-to pants pattern this year, and I think they'll make some super cute semi-cropped shorter pants. Not capris, but you know, actual cropped flannel pants. I think that's gonna look really cute. Now I also have this lovely, very fine Wale corduroy in this green color. So I use this exact fabric in an orange color to make the Chanterelle View A pants earlier this year, and I think that what I would like to do is to possibly make some overalls with this. If not, then I might even try a Hinterland dress out of this corduroy, and I think it would just be really lovely. But I definitely want to make this up this winter because I think it's the right color for a winter project. I have some other sewing plans, but I could not dig the fabric out for the other pants that I'm wanting to make, so I will show those to you as I make them in a later episode. But that is pretty much what I'm working on this next year. I'm very excited for it. Now, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for hanging out with me this past year. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. If you weren't here, I could not keep doing what I'm doing. So a big thank you to all of you. I would like to show my appreciation by gifting a copy of this memory lane book to one of you. The way I'm going to do that is that I have a $50 gift card to UKnit Toronto, and I will pass that along to one of you viewers that you can use to order your own copy of Memory Lane. If you would like to be entered to win that, then all you need to do is leave a comment on this video. I also want to put on the screen the winner of a pattern for Into the Wood socks, which was on my last video. That was a pattern designed by Ashley from Design by So and So, and she has very kindly donated that prize. So thank you, Ashley. And as the winner, if you will contact me by emailing Casey@YoungFolkKnits.com, then I will get you that pattern sent right over. Thank y'all so much for being here. If you enjoy videos like this, then please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future videos. And until next time, happy knitting, y'all.